Now, Charles, why is it that Israel is managing to do just as it pleases so far? With
Well, I mean, the U.S. can't divorce itself from the policy it's had since 1948. I mean, Einstein said in 48 in an editorial to the New York Times that creating Israel would be one of the worst U.S. foreign policy mistakes in its history. And it has been. I mean, it's a colonial project that's been supported and is still being supported by the U.S. And was supported, the U.S., the signer of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, supported their getting nuclear weapons, which they have now. So now you have a country with the fourth largest army and nuclear weapons. They don't really get, I mean, why do they care about the U.S. public opinion or what Barack Obama says? Why should they care?
Or their own public opinion, just as they here in the United States. I think, see, what I was trying to get at, you hit, in my opinion, you're right on the button, because the governments have become so militarized that even the voices of the common folk now really don't make any difference.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Does that
difficult.
make any sense to you?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I think I agree that governments are completely over-militarized. That said, I think it is a different situation there. You walk around and there's guns on the streets. I mean, until you've been in a place that's an occupied land like that, it's a very different dynamic than it is here. I would hesitate from comparing the two in terms of activism.
Of course, you're saying that it's 100 times worse in Israel.
It is, and it's worse and it's different.
Yeah.
It's worse and it's different. It's a totally different dynamic, in my opinion.
But the result of all of this is because they actually have, as you mentioned, they have weapons of mass destruction, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, they do have the most sophisticated weapons, is probably on parallel with the United States.
I'm not so familiar with weapon technology, but yeah, I mean they have. I've had a few of their weapons pointed in my face more than I'd like to, and yeah, they're definitely fancy.
So, but anyway, one of the last questions I want to ask you is, you mentioned conservatism, right? What is a conservative government?
What is a conservative government in Israel, or what is a conservative government?
In the United States, right? As you mentioned that we've elected here a conservative government in Georgia.
Well, again, I think everything's perspective. I mean, I would consider the current government a conservative government, in my point of view.
In Israel or here in
the United States?
Yeah.
I mean, the politics of fear and of war have shifted the paradigm in the U.S. so that there's a center right and there's a far right, in my opinion. And I mean, part of that is the left's fault as well. I mean, the left, as it is or as it was, I mean, has so many problems with organization, so many problems with fractionalization, that it's kind of it's a house of cards that's crumbled upon itself, in my opinion. That said, I mean, I think conservatism is a fairly relative question.
And yeah, it is, because a conservative, I wouldn't think, be spending all the money and all the Bernie Madoffs that we have today in our government workings, the Federal Reserve, along with Goldman Sachs, all of this meltdown that has occurred. And that's, if they're trying to convince us that that is conservatism, I mean,
yeah.
I mean, how stupid are we out here?
I think that generally that's another big problem. I think the American public is pretty stupid, unfortunately. I mean, as we've created a school system that's basic structure is to churn out factory workers. We've got what we've created, and we have, I mean, I hesitate to call the American public stupid because I think out of context that would be taken incorrectly, but I do think that that the priorities have been manipulated to a point where it's unfortunate. And that said, I don't think that you can, like I said, America can't divorce itself from its policies in Israel for the last 65 years. I think also America can't divorce itself from the policies it's done in the entire world. So I think to kind of be an objectivist or to go and do a laissez-faire type of idea where we can pull out of everywhere and pull back into ourselves is also, I think, a very naive thing to do say as well, because at this point, I mean, it's a lot more complicated than that. The answers aren't A or B. It's going to have to be somewhere off the map. I don't know where, but yeah, I mean, it's a big path we've paved.
All right, Charles, anything else you want to convey out there to the community?
Yeah, get involved. At least educate yourself, I would hope. I mean, the resources are out there. Get a library card. Don't go on Furlough Friday. I mean, it's important. The policies of our government kill people.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Free Palestine! Free